What it is, welcome back to the channel. I'm Ness, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. This is your source for all things Neo Geo and video games. Today, we talked about it a while back, but about a week ago, I posed a poll on the community page, and I also put this up on my Instagram, discussing these two copies of Ninja Masters by ADK. Now, we won't go into a full review or Mission Neo Geo review of Ninja Masters. For those of you that haven't gone to go take a look at that review, I'll drop a link up above so you can go back and watch that film. But for today's episode, we are going to discuss a few things. How to spot and how to actually look at, on a very fine granular level, the differences between an actual authentic copy of a Neo Geo AES game and a high reproduction or conversion, etc. In this particular case, I have two Ninja Masters. One is an authentic version, all authentic parts and pieces in the boards, and then we have an NCI or high reproduction version, which is made to look very similar and closely to the authentic version. So in today's episode, angles and shots and things of that nature are going to look a little different. So we're going to move over to my station where I have these two games, and we'll take a look at that more in finer detail. As we discuss this, I'm going to have a large screen that's pointed directly at the camera as we go in and take a look. And then we're going to do a deep dive to see what are the differences in some of the print work, the ink, the color changes, things of that nature. And then we'll take a look and crack open the board for the NCI version just to see a differentiation. So we'll take a look at the manual, we'll take a look at the card sticker, we'll look at all of that today and seeing what are the differences, what are the nuances in terms of ink colors and pixelation, things of that nature. So let's check it out. All right, so taking a look first, we are going to take a look at the Ninja Masters manual first. And this plastic is being a little hard, but we got her. Tighten that up just a smidge, and we're going to zoom this up a little bit more. Okay, so you see these pixelation dots here? You see these little circles in here.
Future Ness here. I thought I'd interject since past Ness is going to continue to use the wrong terminology throughout this video. Now, in terms of the pixelation that past Ness continues to discuss, that would be incorrect. The halftone patterns, better known as rosettes, used in the 1990s with SNK, inserts and manuals were offset printed. It creates a specific overlapping dot pattern, quote unquote, the rosettes. Reproductions often use high-end digital or inkjet printing, which either has a randomized stochastic dot pattern or a distinct linear banding. That's the proper definition. I figured I'd jump that in here now because he's going to continue to make the faults. Future Ness out.
I'm going to pull out the manual for the original Ninja Masters. And don't worry, I'll do some up close visuals of all of the current ones. Now, mind you, this one is damaged. This Ninja Masters is damaged. So if you look there, we'll start here. Okay, so there's that. We're going to take a look here. So this is an authentic version of it. And if you notice, okay, so let's take a look at the arm there. If you see the pixelation there in the arm, and then we're going to move over to this arm. You can tell the differences in the circles. You can see all the little pixelated circles botched on top of each other. And they've kind of got a rainbow effect into the color of that. When you move into this arm, you still have that, but it doesn't protrude as much. And if you look at the sword, you can see a lot of definition. And mind you, this is where the fire happened on this manual. So the front cover of this is damaged, and you can tell that there was a lot of fire damage on this. But if we go back to the sword, you can tell a few things here, right around the suba, and the handle here. Okay, so I want you to take a look at that. We'll do a side-by-side of this. And then let's see if we can get the handle there. So if you can tell, it's blurry on the handle. It's not as defined as the original. So if we could look again, yeah, you see the definition in the handle there? That will be a telltale sign, okay? So let's move over into something else. Okay, the SNK. So let's take a look at the SNK. Let's see if we can zoom that in. Boom, right there. And then we're gonna take that down just a smidge and then zoom in. Perfect. Okay. So if you see the little blue dots inside of the SNK, this is the original. This is the authentic manual. Okay, let's take a look at the SNK on this version. Aha! So you see the blue dots, and they're like speckled dots on this. And the SNK is kind of splotched. So let's do a side-by-side again of the NCI version and this version. So if you see along the SNK here, there's sharp lines across the SNK. And if you look at the dots, there's a 5 pattern grid on the top of the K, and then there's a 6 pattern grid. It's 5, 6, 5, 6, 5, 6, right? And if we look at the NCI version of it, the dots are all over the place. They are all over the place. So there's not a specific pattern. So that's a great way to find out. Now, mind you, I know many of you are not going to have this, but for those of you that really wanted to authenticate the differences, this is a great way to do it. If we go down to the Ninja Masters, again, you can see that this still is the fake. You can see how the ninja and that ninja star there, the blurry, kind of blown up look. Let's go back to the original. And you can tell how sharp that star shuriken is, and the patterns of the pixelization in the font. Everything's really sharp and it's not blotched. So those are our manuals for those. Next, we're going to move into the inserts. Now, the inserts are the big things. All right, so again, the Neo Geo, you can see the blotches in the end, and you can see the kind of the here. You can see the blue and the ink kind of protruding and bleeding into the N, the E, entertainment, etc. And then I'm going to flip this around for the SNK piece. Let's see if I can get that. There we go. So again, all the dots are just all over the place on this SNK. There's no specific pattern here. Yeah, there's no specific pattern on the S with the blue dots that are inside. If we're looking here, if we're looking all in here, there's nothing there. The meg count. Let's take a look at the meg count. Okay, so we're seeing a little bit of, well, I don't know. Let's take a look. Let me see if I can, let's go in a little bit closer here. All right, let's see. All right, so you've got a little bit of bleeding here, a little bit of the whitening on the 3, but you can tell that, again, it's blotched around these areas, right around in here. It's blotched in there. It's not sharp. All right. Let's take a look at the original Ninja Masters. So this insert is damaged, and I want to show that on camera here. Let's see. So right here, there's fire sap right here. And I tried removing a lot of this, but you can tell, see, this is the fire poked a pinhole through it right here. So we don't touch that. but that's where the major damage is with this insert right here. And it goes all the way across, which is rather unfortunate. Otherwise, this would be a relatively really good insert. Now, let's take a look at the 3 here. Okay, so if we notice, we'll do a side by side, but this looks pretty sharp. And then if we move down to the S&K, if you go right back, look at that. Patterns, the right patterns, unified. Those mini dots in there, those pixelated mini dots, show a lot. Now, if we want to do a comparison, so if we look again and we see how all these dots are all over the place, this is the NCI version. And then if we pull and do this version, look at how clean those pixelated dots are in the SNK. That's how you know you have an authentic. Now this, folks, you're not gonna be able to get something super duper well done here. Like, you can find some really good quality high reproductions done out there. The thing about it is you're gonna run into this scenario where if you're looking for high quality stuff, these are the fine tooth comb type things that you're gonna have to look at. Even looking at the surrounding pixelation of the original here. Now, when we go back to the NCI, look at that. Do you see all those little circles? You can tell. Compared to the original, you just see the dots, which is really unique to see. Really unique to see. Okay, so I've got a couple of things that I want to share. So when we're looking at the original Ninja Masters cart sticker, mind you, this is pretty rough. I took it off, I'll be honest. Yeah, I know many of you are like, no, that was history, it's authentic. I'm like, yeah, but it's mine. So I ended up taking it off. But if we look at the pixelation here, and this is where it starts getting super damaged, we're gonna do a comparison here. So we have that, and we've got 2 different versions we're gonna take a look at. So that is the original. So we're gonna take note of this here, this little star and bling here, and the little pixelated circles in the sticker, and then the Ninja here, okay? Okay, so there's your cart sticker right there. So if we look at the differences of the sword, you have the dots there, and you have this. So if you look at that shimmer, you can see the outline here of the blade, kind of that bling look on the blade. It's there, but the color's different. So this is a darker orange, a burnt orange look, and it's smaller. This one is more light orange, and it's burnt. So this is a way to tell. The red here pops a lot more. It's like a blood moon on red. And this is an orange, or actually, you know what? Let's take a look one more time. There's not a lot of, you can tell, there's not a lot of, it's just kind of like blurred pixelation. So this one's even the worst one. So when we look between all 3 cart stickers, this one is number 3, and you can tell there's not a lot of defining features in here on this cart sticker. And then when we move back to the NCI one, you can tell that the work is a lot better, but when you start moving into some of these pixelated looks, and this is the arm right under the blade, then we'll look back to the original, which is here, and then we'll zoom out right there. And you can tell the difference. Now you've got a couple of those circles that pop out in like the blue markings, but all the black, it does not have that. So that's how you would tell that this is real on this. Very interesting. Very interesting. So as you can see, those are your NCI boards, not original. So that's what they put the game on, and they're numbered. So this was numbered for this, and you've got the back of the boards. So made to look very similar. Okay, so what are your thoughts about all of this? I know this was a very detailed instruction on what to find. These are the things that we probably don't look at a lot, and this is mainly targeted for my new collectors who are looking for more of the high-end titles. Now for your more common games like your Magician Lords and your Riding Heroes and your Ninja Combats and things of that nature, I see a lot of folks asking if those games are authentic, or can someone tell me if these games are authentic? A lot of times those games are gonna be authentic because it didn't make much sense to bootleg any of those. Now, don't get me wrong, there are conversions out there that you can probably find on eBay for those games, but that doesn't mean that that's very few and far between, and they're generally very rough looking copies of it. Those of you that want to take a deeper dive into some of the more rare titles, and when I mean by rare titles, I'm talking about your Metal Slugs, your Kazune Encounter, your Garo Mark of the Wolves, things of that nature. There's going to be a handful of titles out there that you can look and do this on. I will leave a link to the digital microscope down below for those of you that want to dabble down this. It's actually pretty cool. It's actually a lot cooler than I thought it was going to be. My first time actually using it was for this video, and actually setting it up prior was to this video, so hopefully you liked it. And if you have any questions about, you know, how I gathered and compiled a lot of this information over the years, I'll be happy to answer that. Just a lot of it is reading a lot of information in the forums, and a lot of it's just trial and error, just testing a lot of this stuff out. I will say this to all of you out there: the AES Plus coming. It is very exciting, and many of you are extremely excited about not only holding an original print, but acquiring as many titles as you possibly can. I will say this again: do not rush this. Neo Geo is not a console that you want to rush and go after. It's not something that you can just say, hey, I bought this game today, I'm going to go buy 6 or 7 other titles tomorrow. You'll go broke doing that, and another thing, you might get got in that particular case because you just don't know. So it's better that you understand the nuances of these games, and maybe in the future I'll do something like this again for another title. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what the print quality looks like for the new inserts for the AES Plus game. So I'm interested to see a side-by-side comparison of those. Time will tell in November once we get our hands on those games to see what they look like, boards included. So I'm very excited to take a look at that. Well, let me know what you think of today's video. Drop comments down below, let me know. And as always, collect and play the way you want to collect and play your games. And we'll check you next time. Peace.